So, making YouTube videos. I personally get a lot of joy out of it. I've been on this platform since 2008, 2012 with my current channel, and I've been fully dedicated to making content ever since the start of 2017. Now, I think it's a fair assumption that it's pretty well known that YouTubers and mental health don't really go all that well together. Every so often you'll see a video pop up of someone lamenting about the many pressures they feel because of their status as a content creator, video performance, the algorithm, comment sections, fan interactions, or toxic mindsets that might arise as a response to said external sources. You know, like the whole grind set mentality. A lot of external pressures that can really fuck up someone's mental state. All of those are very real struggles, and I could just purely talk about that for the rest of this video, and how that has affected me, but I kinda already touched upon that in this 100k sub video over here, so I'm not wanting to do a full repeat. No, I think there's a very big aspect that content creators never really seem to discuss much. Something very different from the externally caused anxiety. And that is the internal issues you face when creating your content. Struggles that are born from the video process itself. To the average viewer, all you generally see of content creators is whenever they post a new upload, post things on other social media, and then skip ahead a certain amount of time and ta-da! New video, ready to come out. The production cycle itself is completely hidden, except for maybe some Patreon bonus content. But beyond that, the actual work that goes into creating the video and the creator's mental attitude during that process is often kept under wraps. So the viewer's best bet of what goes on during production is deduced from that which they can observe in the end product. It's a taboo topic to discuss, really, simply because the source of such issues that you face is not something external, something people have an easier time relating to, but rather you, yourself, your mentality. You are your own problem, so therefore you are also the fix. That's why at best people can find it difficult to empathize with such issues, and at worst just find it pathetic whining about non-issues when YouTubers bring up all these things. You know, like, just fix it, you know? Actually, no, it's not as easy as just fix it, because even if you do decide to just say, fuck it, I'm no longer pandering to my audience, and simply create what I enjoy, even if you take your time to finish new videos, not rush yourself, even if you no longer have to carefully balance your YouTube work with other time-consuming responsibilities, even with all of that, you can still feel like shit, yet also still immensely love what you do. And that's what I want to talk about. Hello everyone, my name's Yuunarii and I've been making and posting videos on the internet for at least a decade now. A few weeks back, I watched this one video essay about the German dollhouse and parasocial horror. It was extremely interesting, and it really made me think. Especially this one part in the video where the person brought up their own feelings and attitude towards making YouTube content. So I guess that's kinda what sparked me to also talk about this topic. Quick side note to those who have been around on my channel for a while, some of the things I will be covering in this video will be things I already mentioned in my 2020 update video and the 100k thank you video. So if you end up feeling a deja vu moment, then you know why. Don't worry, you're not insane. I don't know how long this video is gonna be, because it'll contain a lot of thoughts and feelings that have been stuck inside my skull for the past year or so. I'm utter trash at keeping my thoughts short and concise, so you're warned, I guess. No worries, I did divide everything into chapters to make it more manageable, but yeah, I really just gotta splay this all out because I want to share this with people. And if anyone were to find any part of my experience to be helpful, then that would be a very nice bonus. Oh, and also content spoiler warning, this video might get a little bit philosophical in the latter parts. Where to start? Probably just give you a short rundown of my personal track record here on YouTube, or well, I can't really promise the short part of that. Basically, I started out YouTube in 2008 when I was 11 years old, making very simple Sonic speed paint videos. I was very heavily invested in that at the time, plus I also made a few attempts at AMVs. Nothing fancy, just your standard Windows Movie Maker type videos really. Just made for my own enjoyment. That lasted till about like 2012 or so, when I was 15 years old, and that's when I wanted to leave my Sonic past behind me and get a fresh new start. You know, like basically anybody around that age, because, oh, gotta distance myself from that cringe. So I made myself a new account, and thus also a new username, Yuunarii. Shortly after, I fell into the Utao scene and ended up making some more fairly simple videos. This time using Sony Vegas. Wow, I could finally layer video footage on top of each other. Groundbreaking. But yeah, they were just simple song covers that used the original video along with a PNG slapped on top. For more info on this entire time period, I have a whole video dedicated to Utao and my experience in that fandom, so feel free to check that out after this video if you feel like it. I really enjoyed my time making those videos, and I distinctly remember in 2014 using After Effects for the very first time. I believe I wanted to add some sort of like audio spectrum to a video, and Sony Vegas couldn't really do that, so I tried After Effects and was like, holy shit, this is so much better than Sony Vegas, there's so many more options, but holy fuck, it's complicated. And yeah, I guess ever since that first discovery, I just wanted to try and up the quality of my videos using the powers of After Effects. Not because I wanted more views or anything, like hell, at the peak of my Utao popularity, I maybe had like 2k subscribers. I just really enjoyed seeing a final product that I could be proud of. Then, at the end of 2016, start 2017, roughly around my 19th birthday, I gave the animated story time format a try with some very crude drawings. Up until then, I didn't really have any sort of experience with narrating videos, so the final product ended up a little bit clunky, but I really enjoyed sharing my personal stories with people. So I kept it up, and with each upload I wanted to make things look a little bit better, a little bit more animated, more colorful, more high quality. Which also meant more time structuring my script, actively starting paying attention to where to place jokes in the video, paying closer attention to my vocal intonations in order to make things sound more interesting. I ended up making storyboards to know what the visuals were gonna be like. Drawings got more and more complicated, more detailed. So yeah, that resulted in the production time going up and up and up and up and up and up. But that didn't really matter much to me, or at least not in the moment. It never even passed my mind, to be fair. As long as I had a nice end product that I could be proud of, then what did it matter? The ends justifies the means, after all. And yeah, it did pay off to an extent. In 2018, I had a video blow up in popularity, and that pushed me to make even better content, even more complex animation. I put together a whole animation puppet rig, for fuck's sake. Yeah, that worked. Up until 2020. I don't know how else to put it, other than I fucking hated creating videos by that time. I really did. Yeah, the videos themselves still looked great, like very high quality. The video still had decent engagement. I mean, no big numbers or anything, but still decent for my channel size. But the amount of time I just had to sink into each video, drawing countless backgrounds and characters that would maybe appear on screen for less than 2 seconds, having to spend dozens and dozens of hours, weeks and weeks worth of my time on a singular video, I really just couldn't do it anymore. I just couldn't. Keep in mind that I had been a full-time university student ever since I started making these sort of storytime videos. So all the spare time I did have, I spent making YouTube videos. After school, during the weekends, just whenever I had some sort of free time. At one point, things got so bad that if I didn't manage to get at least 2 hours of video work done each day, I'd scold myself for not working hard enough. I'd analyze the amount of hours I worked by using a program that would track all of my program usage to know if I was meeting these self-imposed requirements. It just completely drove me up the wall, and I just couldn't deal with that mentality any longer. So I just had to find a way to make things easier on myself, be nicer to myself, for my own mental stability's sake. One solution for that would be just hire more people, because the more people, the less workload per person. And yeah, that's a fair solution. Sadly, just not really an option for me. For one, I earn peanuts off of YouTube, and second is that having full creative control is something so important to me that even if someone were to offer me help free of charge, I would decline. It's my video where I express myself, and I want to execute that vision in a way that I feel only I am able to, because I'm me, and my videos are a direct expression of me, and other people's aren't copies of me, so they can't do that. I hope you see what I'm getting at. So yeah, I ended up going with the other option. That being having to cut some of the production quality in favor of getting more joy out of the production process. Yeah, I really didn't like having to do that. I loved the way my videos looked. But between the two options, I felt that this was the better path to take. So I ended up coming up with this kind of strange 2D vlogging type style hybrid thing that didn't really need all that many unique drawings, or even a storyboard for that matter. I don't think I even used a script for these videos at all, like they were completely off the cuff. Great, I saved so much time! I make one video like that, and another video, and another, and then... Oh wait, why do I still feel like shit? Why do I still feel so exhausted making these? Like, even though they're like 3 times as fast to produce. That doesn't make any sense. That is when I first really started to reflect on the actual process of making videos. Cause I knew I liked making videos, but why? Like, asking myself the question of, what is it about creating videos that I enjoy? What specific aspects of it bring me joy? The answer to this question will be different for every single person, but for me, I found that creative freedom, short production time, and authenticity were key factors to creating fulfilling videos. I wonder which facet got squandered in this new format. Yeah, these videos were just boring as fuck to make. So after some more reflection to figure out what would work, I realized I got the most satisfaction out of making videos back before I went full on overboard on the whole perfectionism thing. I didn't have fancy visuals, kept things simple, didn't feel like I had to meet certain quality measures, didn't overthink about the delivery of every single line, wasn't preoccupied with the possible reception of the video. So yeah, that's what I then attempted to recreate for my next couple videos. Just simple, back to basics, storytime videos. Without all of the fancy bullshit. And I managed to keep that up for pretty much a full year. Until also that stopped working. Even that format, the one I used to enjoy so much, even while keeping things simple and only covering topics I found interesting, it still became a drag. Why? Now, before I continue with the rest of my YouTube journey, some people might wonder, why does all of this matter? Why do I want to optimize the video production process so badly? Like, why can't I just be okay with the fact that not every job, activity, or thing you do in life is gonna be completely fun? That there always will be downsides to said activity, and that's just how things are. Cause like, regardless of enjoyment, you're still producing the same thing in the end, right? Your enjoyment doesn't have much bearing on the end product, so why obsess so much over something so meticulous? Ah, so you assume it's meticulous. But is it? Da-da-da! Insert Vsauce noise here. But no, seriously, I mean, regardless of whether my enjoyment of the process has a bearing on the end result, should my own enjoyment of the things I do in life be disregarded as something, like, insignificant? Hell fucking no. It's my time and my energy that I willingly put into this, so why should I have to settle for less than optimal enjoyment? I'm not hurting anyone. The only one who is affected by my decisions is myself. This is my life, and I refuse to compromise my own happiness when it comes to my activities, because I'm the one who has to live this life. Nobody else does. Sure, the choices are not always the easiest. Sometimes you gotta choose between what's familiar versus that with which the outcome is unsure. But in the end, it's gonna be way more healthy for your mental health to choose that latter option than to choose for something that you know is familiar, but ultimately harmful to you in the long run. A good example of this is, if I had held onto my old mindset, I would have never given up on that pursuit of perfection, pushing myself even further, harder, making my content even more high quality, that familiar sense of like striving for perfection. But for what? It couldn't have been for happiness, as I fucking despised creating those videos. Perhaps a fucked up sense of happiness, one that can only be experienced through externally earned results and achievements? Most likely, yeah. That probably was the underlying motivation. But with my current mindset, no thank you. You can keep all that perfectionistic bullshit. I'd rather not have my mental health crash even harder than it already did. I don't have control over how well a video will do, or if I get the desired reaction I feel I deserve, so tying my happiness to things outside of my control is just irrational, really. Cause yeah, that's what perfectionism kinda does to you. It tricks you into believing that you have control over that what is outside of your control, and beats you up for it if you don't live up to these delusional expectations. Ugh, and don't even get me started on all the other fucked up shit it does to your self-esteem. Oh, your video didn't make it into the suggested videos? Well, gotta try harder. Make your videos look even better. Maybe then you'll stand a chance in the algorithm. It just eats at you. It's never satisfied. You're never gonna be good enough. There's always gonna be that next level to achieve, that better result. That better possibility of obtaining whatever it is that you crave. It's a curse. And frankly, I no longer want to choose for that which I have no control over, but rather for that which I do have control over. That is why I'm so focused on the process of producing the video, and making that as fun as possible, because those factors I do have control over. Sorry for the tangent there. I hope I managed to make it clear why I put so much emphasis on the production process. I don't know, I guess I just really vibe with the stoic mindset of don't worry about that which is outside of your control and only focus on that what is within. Not just when it comes to YouTube really, but just as a general life philosophy. It goes for things that make you happy, but also things that bring you stress, that bring you fear, your future, your hopes and dreams. Apply that principle to life in general and everything suddenly becomes a lot more manageable, I find. Now, with that explanation out of the way, as I said, even when I did go back to the old format of videos that didn't rely on overly complicated visuals, it all worked out for quite some time. Like, from about mid-2020 till mid-2021, I felt very motivated. But, like I mentioned, even that eventually became a drag. My mental health dipped pretty bad sometime in June of last year, and I think that was partially also caused by the view count still keeping on dropping and dropping with each new video. Cause yeah, while I didn't really look at the view count as a measurement of satisfaction anymore, I was still satisfied with the video regardless, but it still felt extremely disheartening to watch less and less people tune in, cause in the end I cared very deeply about the things I spoke about, and I wanted to share that with people. It really hurt, but I just kept going at it with new videos, as the process of making the videos itself was actually very enjoyable again. I managed to distract myself from that gnawing sensation that my channel was going down the gutter, basically up until mid-2021. For a long time, I've kept the mindset of expecting the positive and reminding myself that yes, even if view counts currently are low, they will get better again eventually. I had popular videos once or twice before, so I can do it again. And ironically enough, that positive attitude is actually what caused me to melt into a puddle of shitty feelings again. Because in the end, these expectations I had were dependent on something I did not have control over. The algorithm. This whole principle of only focusing on that what is within your control, yeah, it also applies to your expectations, your hope, and your aspirations. I realized that by holding on to these expectations, I was ultimately setting myself up for disappointment. Cause I can't control the fluctuation in view counts, so what now? Do I just assume the worst from now on? Assume videos are gonna do shit because at least that way I won't be disappointed? Should I just assume all of my efforts are never going to amount to anything and I should just give up? Join the doomer mindset? No. Because both an overly positive and an overly negative mindset are based on future predictions. You know, the future, something you don't have control over. There's a third option, one that doesn't rely on predictions. And that is to just live in the here and now and just accept things as they come. And by that, I mean, I had to let go of any and all expectations for my channel. Let go of any hope that my channel will ever prosper, and that this is perhaps how it will forever be. It might never flourish again, and that it is very much a possibility that I have to move on from YouTube. But at the same time, also let go of any assumptions about inevitable failure. Don't expect the worst. You never know what the future might bring. Maybe my channel will bloom up again. You can't really know that. So if I were to default to a negative mindset, it'd be a self-fulfilling prophecy, really. Basically, in life, you never know. Life is mega unpredictable, and if you want to thrive and be content, then you're just gonna have to accept that sometimes life makes a shift for the positive for no apparent reason, and sometimes it goes to shit for no apparent reason. Now, the caveat to that mindset, however, is by letting go of these expectations, yeah, you accept that the bad things that happen to you are not your responsibility. You do not owe the world anything, but in turn you also gotta accept that you are not owed anything and thus cannot take credit for the good things that do come your way. Yeah, in both circumstances your actions definitely will play a role. You can sway circumstances in your favor, but ultimately the outcome is not yours to decide or yours to take credit for. Now, I'm gonna get a little bit personal here, but this isn't the first time I've come in contact with this whole concept of just, you know, letting go expectations. 4 years ago, back when I was 21, I recall frequently fantasizing about what it would be like to have a relationship, because up until that point, I had never really had a proper relationship before. And that hurt, because deep down, I felt like I was never gonna get that opportunity. I was just one of those undesirable ones, you know, people who are just unlucky in love, and the only way I was gonna get a relationship was by just settling for the next best dude that showed interest. I didn't want to have to do that, but because I really wanted a relationship, I felt I had no other choice. And realizing that I couldn't experience it any other way, it hurt a lot. And you know what I did then? I thought to myself, you know, fuck this. No, I'm not gonna be with some random jerk. I fucking refuse. Yeah, maybe I do stay single for the rest of my life in that case. I will stay single for the rest of my life. That's just how things are gonna be. Either way, I'm not gonna spend any more time moping about this. I'm just gonna start focusing on doing the things that make me happy instead of wishing for something that I don't have. And so I just completely let go of any and all expectations when it came to relationships. I had accepted that I would be single for the rest of my life. And that, yeah, it would be nice if somebody were to come along, but if that didn't happen, then that was also fine. Probably also why I ramped up the quality of my videos a lot around that time, because I now just dedicated all of my energy to what made me happy. And you know what happened? About a year and a half later, I actually got into a healthy relationship. Because I was so preoccupied with my own passions. That plus just, you know, wacky circumstances and all that stuff, like the universe just aligning all planets and everything to make this happen. But again, I wasn't expecting it at all, or was even part of my mindset at all. It just happened. And I went along with it because it felt like the correct thing to do. Now, I'm not saying that you should let go of expectations with the expectation of still achieving said expectations, because I don't think that loophole is gonna work. Anyway, the time frame is now September 2021, and from that point onward, I really no longer gave a fuck about statistics anymore. I can't control the numbers, and that's fine, so therefore I should not allow for it to affect my mood. I also no longer held myself to any arbitrary deadlines I should meet, or sticking to any sort of specific upload schedule. I just worked on videos whenever I felt the motivation to do so, cause if you force yourself to do things despite not being in the mood for it, it's only gonna wear you out. While if you were to follow your motivation, things get done without really feeling like you're putting in any effort at all. Doing without doing. Woo-wee. Yes, I did just finish reading the Tao Te Ching, and it talks a lot about this sort of mentality. I really like it. Again, that mindset really worked for me because I was such a workaholic prior, but if you're the opposite type of person, then of course this exact strategy might not work as well for you as it did for me. Philosophies and shit like that aren't like a one-and-all solution. So I did some more reflecting on my videos, as per usual, and realized that the production time for them was still way too long for my liking. All I wanted for my videos was to just get my thoughts across from my brain to my audience as fast as possible, but still in some sort of like fun and creative way. So that's how I came up with this like 2D, 3D hybrid looking video. Topics that I covered in these videos were also less story structure based and a lot more like stream of consciousness and opinion based. Kinda just like this video you're watching right now. And you know what? It actually felt really good. Like, I really enjoy this. Perhaps this is also why I really enjoy content creators who post frequently and talking about their thoughts and feelings on certain subjects, regardless whether the topics are actually relevant to me or not. Regardless of their actual presentation. I love it when people's thoughts are just like fresh out of the oven and plopped into a video, cause you can just feel the passion behind those thoughts and stuff like that radiate off of it. And I really wish to capture some of that also in my own content, because I really enjoy sharing my thoughts and opinions and getting to hear the viewers' reactions and all that. And even when they don't, like even if they just take the effort to listen to what I have to say in the first place, I love that. I just want to be heard. I want to be listened to, because I don't really get to experience that all that much in daily life. And yeah, it feels very nice, cause I do feel like I have valuable things to say. And then reality really dawned upon me. Or well, more so my fears about the future reared their ugly heads again, you could say. I started contemplating what to do if YouTube really wouldn't work out. In that particular moment, the practical consequences really hit me. Yeah, I know it's not helpful to worry about the future too much, because I can't control the future. I can only control the present, but I still want to appease those anxious what-ifs by coming up with at least some sort of answer. What could give me the same sort of like fulfillment that YouTube currently does? What am I willing to sacrifice my time and energy towards and not lose any of the enjoyment I currently feel? I want full creative control where I can fully express myself, and I want people to come to me for the stuff I produce. And the conclusion I came to was a sticker shop, or well, ideally a stationery shop, but again, just starting out small and simple. Yeah, I was super excited about it. So, around December, I just kinda put YouTube on a hold for a while, in favor of building this web shop. I spent the majority of December and January making progress on that, cause I honestly got a lot of joy out of seeing this vision, this idea that I have that I'm excited about slowly start to take shape. It's very exciting. And then one day, while I was doing some work on the shop, I ended up watching a past livestream by Dr. K, where he interviewed this dude called Therapy Gecko. I don't know if you guys are familiar with either of them, but either way, the dude that was being interviewed had a lot of interesting things to say. He talked a lot about how happiness isn't really a goal, but more so a feeling, one that you want to experience. And he referred to those moments that he experienced such feelings in as the flow state. He wants to try and spend as much time as he can in this flow state, and the way of doing this is to just do what feels best in the moment and just letting yourself be completely absorbed by the thing that you're currently doing, not worrying about judgment and basically all that sort of stuff. I don't know if you guys have seen like Pixar's Soul movie, but it's basically that, the flow that they describe in that movie. I guess I had already started adopting that sort of mindset in recent times too, to some amount, but not to the same extent that this Therapy Gecko guy had. And I suppose that is the moment I realized that if I wanted to feel even more content, not just regarding YouTube, but my life in general, I really had to dedicate myself to this going with the flow type mentality. Stop putting pressure on myself and just do things as they come. However, in order to really go for this sort of like mindset, you have to let go of certain attachments, I felt. Now don't laugh at me because I know this is gonna sound like very hippie bullshit, whatever, but basically think of it as a river. You go with the currents of the water, but there's still a couple things along the banks that you still like to hold on to. And for me, one of those things being my sense of identity, specifically the YouTube part. Because as much as I've actively tried not to make YouTube a part of my identity, it still kinda ended up happening. I mean, it's not too surprising seeing how much time, effort, and dedication I've put into this whole YouTube shabacle over the past decade or so. It's hard not to get somewhat attached. And by holding on to that sense of this is who I am, it is also holding me back from pursuing things outside of that scope. Things that don't fit inside this perception I have of myself. It's not easiest in the slightest, but I do believe that the more you detach from your sense of identity, the sense of who you are as a person, the more content you will feel, because you won't be hung up on making sure that the perception you have of yourself lines up with your actions and expectations. There's nothing that needs to fit in. You're free from those expectations, so minimizing your ego, I'd say, is quite good. And ego in this case, referring to your sense of self. Oké, eventjes nog meer water halen. Holy fuck, mijn stem is droog. An example I've heard on a Dr. K stream where he illustrates the importance, or I guess the non-importance, of ego was basically whenever you need to go to the toilet, you need to take a shit, all you really are in that moment is just some human being taking a shit on a toilet. Doesn't matter if you're a celebrity, where you live, what job you practice, if you're married. It doesn't matter what your identity is. Everyone needs to shit at one point in a day. Unless you're constipated, I guess. So, in that moment, we're essentially just all the same. And that basically goes for every situation in life, but it's just that our ego distorts that perception. Ego doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't know, I just really like that little anecdote. Now, like I mentioned, I've never really felt too attached to the label of YouTuber before. I'm just another random viewer who just so happens to make videos online. In all other aspects, I'm no different than the people who watch my content. I watch other people's content too. I just happen to do this one extra thing on the side. It was more so the routine and familiarity that came along with that sense of identity for me that was very hard to let go of. Cause like, for years and years, all of my time was dedicated to YouTube. Whether it was just my spare time or specific parts of the day that were dedicated to YouTube projects, I always had that routine. But now, that routine is gone because I catered it so much to my own mental needs. And that should be a good thing, right? Because now I have time to work on other projects. I can allow myself to sit back and relax and not be stressed about the next upload. Yet, it almost feels wrong. I think because of this sudden shift in routine, a routine I was used to for years, now that that's gone, my brain kinda just panics. It feels like I'm doing something bad, that I'm not doing enough, not being productive enough by allowing myself to have these breaks, allowing myself not to work when I don't feel like it. 'Cause yeah, I've cut myself slack in the past before. It's fine if I don't want to work on videos for a few days, but after a week, a few weeks at most, I kinda need to get back on schedule, And yeah, I know I've been busy with webshop stuff, but shouldn't it be about time that I start working on YouTube again? I mean, it's been at least 2 months now, come on. That little voice, I fucking hate it, but it's so hard to ignore. I just feel that if I don't produce, don't keep busy for YouTube, for things that actively result in monetary income, why should I deserve any sort of respect from people? Yes, I know I'm being busy, I know I'm actively working on something I see value in. Yeah, it doesn't directly result in any sort of tangible success, but the way I feel towards these things, all that doesn't matter if outsiders don't see it that way. Their views are their truth. My version of events is important to me, and only me, I realize that. I'm the only one who values what I value, and if I want others to see things that way too, I need arguments, justifications, reasons, and cater to their worldview and perspective, make them understand through those means, earn their empathy that way. That is the only way. That's why I elaborate so much. That's why I want to explain things the best I can in my videos, so to make you guys understand. It's why I'm making this video. If I can't convince them, people aren't gonna give me empathy, because my views, my feelings are gonna remain invalid till proven otherwise. Why should anyone give me the time of day, care about anything I care about my struggles, my experiences, my feelings, if I can't prove that I'm actively being a worthwhile individual by being productive? I want you guys to be able to see how much effort I put into videos. I want you guys to be feeling my passion. I want to be as real as I can, get as close to you guys as I can, because that makes me feel heard. It makes me feel valued. This is why I do what I do, because I fail to see how I can have any sort of inherent value without, doing anything. It just feels weird. And yeah, I know that's fucked up. Now, I guess for this last bit, I kinda just want to talk about my current video format, the stuff you're seeing right now. I really just wanted something simple, something where I barely had to really create any unique drawings beforehand, because if there's one thing I concluded about this whole drawing aspect of my videos, it's that I don't like applying my creative skills to something that's repetitive, because it feels very, very counterintuitive. Creativity thrives off of spontaneity, whatever the fuck the word is, artistic expression, and unpredictability. And that kind of dies if you put it into some sort of oiled machine, having to draw the same character over and over and over in a slightly different pose. To me, it just sucks all the joy out of drawing. Sure, that might not be the case for all people. I mean, there's plenty of comic artists out there and animators, after all. Then again, everyone's different. Add that repetition to the fact that you don't even see me create these drawings. They just appear on screen for a few seconds, and it's just not nice. I want people to be able to see the amount of effort I put into my videos, that the amount of work I put in is actively observable in the final product. So yeah, that's why I figured live drawing would fit in very nice with all of this. Something so you guys still have something visual to look at, but nothing too spectacular, cause after all, what matters most when it comes to content on YouTube, I feel, is the content. The things people speak about, not so much their visuals. I mean, do you know how many people just put YouTube videos on to play in the background, so why waste a ton of time perfecting the visuals? That plus, like I mentioned, all I want for my videos is to just get my thoughts across to you guys as fast as possible, capture my thoughts and broadcast it to you all. Again, if you've made it this far, for one, thank you so fucking much for your patience, cause holy fuck this video is long. But yeah, feel free to let me know what you think of this current format. Okay. This is probably the longest video I've ever made. I'm not gonna say anything about the future, like, and it's also the longest video I will ever make, cause knowing myself, who knows. But yeah, I always used to limit myself to roughly the 10-minute mark when it came to scripts, simply because I knew if I made them longer, I'd regret it immensely in the video production process. But from now on, especially with a more simpler, like, visual format, I'm giving myself free rein, and yeah, this is kind of what happens when I do that, cause I'm terrible at keeping my thoughts brief. Anyway, thank you so much if you sat through this entire video. Thank you so much for listening, for hearing my thoughts out. It felt very cathartic for me. It's nice being able to just share all of this with other people, and it would be very nice if it helped you in some way too, but if it didn't, then that's alright as well. Hope to see you again in the next video. Bye! My throat is fucking obliterated. I just recorded all of this audio in a singular go, basically with only a couple cups of tea to drink. So yeah, I'm gonna quickly make myself something more to drink. Anyway, I want to give a special shout out to Methicha, Matt, and Romanov for supporting me on Patreon. Thank you guys very much.